Welcome my broskis to SOE64, which is a retro-inspired World War II first-person shooter built in the spirit of 19th console classics. And yeah, we are talking Goldeneye, Nintendo 64, you know, old school James Bond kind of controls. That's very much the vibe here. Now in SOE64 we operate behind enemy lines, from Alpine railways to undercover dinner parties, working with the resistance and some very unlikely allies, all with one goal: to help liberate Europe during World War II. We get far too few World War II and World War I shooters nowadays, so I'm happy for that. Now, in between the missions, everything is presented with fully voice-acted briefings that give me a lot of that classic Medal of Honor vibes. And I mean the first Medal of Honor, the old-school military briefing kind of presentation. And it's absolutely lovely, because the menus, they also remind me a lot of it.
You'll slip in from the coast, knock out their artillery and any armor guarding the place, then sabotage the prototype before it gets airborne.
Now in the demo that is out right now, we get to play 3 different levels, ranging from desert environments to outside night areas to inside bunkers. And I gotta say that the level design here legitimately surprised me. These levels are really well made. You have tight corners, narrow hallways, bigger combat spaces, objects placed around the environment for cover, enemies using cover, and enemies positioned in a way that actually makes sense. It doesn't feel like they just threw a bunch of soldiers into a room and called it a day. They actually put some thought into everything here.
Weapons up, lads! Oh, look at the bird! Shit! Up ahead! There's a fucking plane coming right at us!
And since this is a World War II shooter, of course you also have the classic alarm system. If enemies spot you and reach the alarm, they will call in reinforcements. But from what I played, the reinforcements were usually just 2 or 3 more guys, so it never really became that punishing. It's more like a little oh crap moment than a complete disaster. But overall, this is very much a standard old school console-inspired first-person shooter, just done really well. Now the aiming is also where the console inspiration really kicks in. If you hold down the aim button, it turns into this reticle that you can control, where your character mostly becomes more stationary. It kind of gives the game this on-rails shooter feeling, even though you can still move around, walk around and turn your head if you push far enough to the left or right. The sensitivity of moving the camera though, it drops quite significantly. So it has that slower, more deliberate Goldeneye kind of feel to it. And if you don't aim down sights, there is an auto-aim system that kicks in when your enemies are close enough. You can actually see your weapon start pointing towards them, and honestly, it feels so damn cool when it does that and you just blasting your shotgun in someone's face. It's a small but really neat detail that makes you feel like a proper badass, just walking around, not aiming down sights, popping enemies smoothly like some secret agent with a very questionable amount of confidence. But it also makes the game quite damn easy. I played the demo on medium difficulty and I wasn't even close to dying a single time during my first playthrough. That said though, there is a hard difficulty as well, so you can crank it up if you want more resistance, but on medium this was definitely more of a power fantasy than a struggle. Still, I don't think that the mechanics are bad. They might not be the best thing I've ever seen, but they are really well implemented. They work as intended, maybe a little bit too well if you know what I mean. There are also plenty of secrets in each of the levels, and I really like how they actually have some meaning to them. If you find the more well-hidden ones, you can unlock stuff like big head mode and other fun extras. Personally, I only found one of them myself, but the fact that they are there and that they unlock more than just extra ammo or health is a really nice touch. And another really cool feature of the game is the faithful mode. If you turn this on, the game removes a lot of the modern quality of life features and gives you a much more authentic old school console feel. So if you want the game to feel even more like something from back in the day, you can do that as well. Personally, I prefer playing with the more modern quality of life stuff turned on because I'm old, I'm tired, and I don't need to fight the controls more than necessary. But I still think faithful mode is a really nice option for those who like it. And in all honesty, there isn't a ton more to say about SOE64 in a complicated way. It just really is a solid entry into the world of retro first-person shooters. But what really has me excited for the full game is the game's variety. The developers are promising a crap ton of different weapons, environments, and objectives. We're talking driving vehicles, operating turrets, blowing up turrets, sneaking around, shooting your way through bases, and probably a bunch of other World War II action movie nonsense. And after playing the demo, I actually believe that they can pull this off, because the levels here are already really fun to go through. The stealth was also working surprisingly well. You can sneak around in the dark, line up a headshot, drop an enemy without anyone noticing. And it feels great when you actually nail it. Now, presentation-wise, the game is definitely nailing the old school look, but with a lot more detail in the environments than those games ever had. There is also different enemy reactions depending on where you hit them. Legs, arms, chest, head, they react differently, and that helps the game feel much more alive. Now, that kind of stuff is not exactly brand new. We saw things like that in the early 2000s, but it still adds a lot. Now, my biggest issue with the presentation though is the texture work. There is clearly a lot of effort put into the textures. There are tons of different ones, and from a distance they can look pretty detailed, but the second you get a bit closer, everything gets very, very blurry. And I don't mean pixelated in a cool retro way, I mean blurry. Personally, I don't really like that at all. I think they could have increased the texture resolution just a little bit without hurting the retro feel at all. A more modern touch there would have helped the game look cleaner while still keeping that old school console vibe. But hell, even with that complaint, I had a really good time with the demo. SOE64 feels like a love letter to those old school console shooters, but with better level design, more detail, more objectives, and a smoother quality of life options if you want them. Now, I have no idea how long the full game is going to be, but based on what they're showing, I'm guessing it will have a pretty decent length to it. And if you're into replaying levels, there are secrets to hunt down, as I said, and completion times to beat on every map. So if you want to get faster, cleaner, and more stylish with your runs, that option is there. So yeah, my broskis, SOE64 is definitely one to keep an eye on. It's not reinventing the retro FPS wheel, but it knows exactly what kind of wheel it wants to be. And so far, that wheel is rolling pretty damn smoothly.